Jalen Anthony Rose.
What up, dog?
I'm Jalen Jacoby.
And on the cool check-in.
Together with Jalen Jacoby, what is it that we do?
We give the people what they want.
Jalen, who's joining us later in the show?
The hilariously funny, the uber talented David Allen Greer.
But we start with the Mavs and the Nuggets. Jokic versus Doncic, and it lived up to all the hype. And it came down to the wire. Jalen Rose, we will discuss the entire game. But I want to start with the end. And this, the stretch Mark 5, bullying his way to the basket and getting the go-ahead bucket. But look at this last possession from the Mavs. What do you see here, Jalen?
What I see is you want to set that screen for Luka if you're Tim Hardaway Jr. and not slide out of there. Because now you force an action. When you slide out of there, we stand with Luka.
yeah.
Right? And so now he has the rock. Great court vision, by the way, for the skip pass.
Mm-hmm.
If you're the recipient of that skip pass,
put that up.
Gotta let it fly.
You gotta put that up.
You gotta let it fly. But then all of a sudden it's like, wait a minute, there's Tim. Runs out of time. So in the next situation, either you're Hardaway, you run up and stop a lot shorter to allow Luka to turn the corner with his right hand, or you physically set the pick so that now that double team becomes a delayed reaction. Instead of him having to kick it over there while you backpedaling out, he can kick it to you.
That's a great point.
And Hardaway's a 40% three-point shooter.
Sometimes when I listen to you, I'm like, this guy really did play basketball in the NBA for 13 years. He really knows what he's talking about. Then sometimes I'm like, he has no idea. So I want to ask you this because, you know, I've followed the stretch Mark 5 closely this season. He started off really slow, and I got on him a little bit. You're welcome, Denver fans, because he heard me, and now he's back doing what Jokic does. But in this game, it seemed like, and he's done this before against the Sixers, he's not even there in the first half and then blows up in the third quarter. How is that the case?
So here's the thing that I feel like he's juggling mentally and emotionally. He's an MVP candidate.
Is he?
Even starting last year, for example.
Okay.
Last year, he catapulted himself into all-NBA status.
Yes.
He catapulted himself into all-NBA status. But he's a terrific passer. He's thoughtful of his teammates.
Very much so.
And he doesn't want to alienate anybody like, I'm the best player. So there's a line of demarcation that started to happen in sports. Michael Jordan did it, but then people started to do it and just run with it. And you know what that is? My team, my guys. When they doing interviews, he don't necessarily want
and
that.
Millsap mentioned this in a Ringer article too, that he's not necessarily as assertive of a player for the skills that he has.
Correct.
So, you know, I went negative on him early in the year. Well, it's time for me to put the targets on someone else. It's time for negative Jacoby. Luka Doncic is a legitimate MVP candidate, and he is the best 20-year-old that's ever played in the NBA. And he will be, whatever. We don't have to argue that. That's not, but I'm going to go negative on Luka Doncic right now. I watched the game, and while he had nice numbers, we go deeper than the box score. I watched the game. He made some really weird decisions with the basketball. Like, he did some weird things with some bad turnovers, and right before the play that Jokic had, he took a layup that didn't even hit the rim that Dwight Powell got. But if you look at this, like, he still is finding his way in the league. You know I'm going negative, but do you think that's fair to say? For all the highlights, there are some lowlights.
Gather around the campfire, boys and girls.
Oh, let's do it.
Because Luka Doncic's ascension, Trey Young's ascension, sometimes makes people compare history to what they're seeing right now. And I've heard people say exactly what you just said about Luka, comparing his second year to LeBron's and wondering if he's the best 20-year-old to ever play in the NBA. Hate to have to do this. Have you guys ever heard of Magic Johnson? He played in the NBA.
I'm not talking
He was
about
20 years old. And you know what they did his rookie year? They won a championship.
The roster around him was very different than the roster around LeBron.
He jumped center as a 6'9" point guard, scored 40-plus points, flirted with a triple-double, and won a championship. I love Luka, but he's not Magic at 20, and he's not LeBron in his second year.
You know what?
And that's okay.
I love what you did. You went negative Jalen.
Never.
Moving on.
I love Luka, big guard.
We had a battle of two overachieving Eastern Conference teams, the Heat and the Pacers, and Jimmy Butler and TJ Warren got into it. And I love this kind of stuff. Butler has really grown on me over the years. Like, I am so firmly in Jimmy Butler's camp right now. So, Jalen, you know what happened. You've seen it by now. Just take us through what you're seeing on the screen.
So, initially, it's two styles conflicting.
What do you mean by that?
It starts on the sideline. Who's coaching those teams? Eric Spoelstra. All about play hard, tenacity. Nate McMillan. That's how he played. I played against Mac 10 before, okay? And as we talk about the glamour teams in the East, the Bucks have Giannis. The Celtics have 17 championships. The Sixers have a storied history in Embiid. But you know, the undercurrent in the conference is really what I'm enjoying watching right now. The Heat, the ascension of the Pacers without Victor Oladipo. He coming back on the 29th. So what I took from that altercation, TJ Warren, you had him. Y'all went nose to nose. Y'all both got tees. He gets the basketball. He lowers his shoulder, gets a tee, and an offensive foul. He's already gone. Their best player is ejected. Don't clap. And also get ejected. He had a chance to stay in the game while Jimmy Butler was being ejected. So the banter back and forth, Jimmy getting on the kiss cam and him putting up the middle finger, I understand that they were still fuming, but I appreciate that this may be something budding that I remember seeing in the Eastern Conference Finals. When it was LeBron and Wade, when it was your guy Lance and Paul George. I think that's coming again with these two teams.
Well, I don't see them in the Eastern Conference Finals this year, but as much as I love what Jimmy Butler did on the court, I love what he said afterwards even more. Let's check in with some great Jimmy Butler sound.
I think it's tough for him because I can guard him and he can't guard me. Like, at the end of the day, that's what it comes down to. But like I said, I think you just got to watch your mouth in certain situations. There's some you just don't say as a man. And, I mean, he got to see me the next time because I feel like what he said was truly disrespectful. And it's all good because we see him again. I ain't scared of nobody. So, you know, he talking about, oh, we're going to fight, this, that. It is what it is to me.
And then what did you notice the middle finger from him, and was the blowing of the kiss
soft? He's soft. He's not even in my league, like nowhere near me. And if I was their coach, I would never put him on me ever again. He's like, no, put somebody else on me because I'm a Taz up every time we play. He's trash.
I love it so much. You know what I love even more? Do you know what he posted on Instagram after those comments?
What's that?
You'll see what he posted on Instagram after those comments. He put up the date of the next time that they play and put a red circle around it and said, I'll see you on March 20th in Indianapolis.
Shout to the great Donnie Walsh, front office extraordinaire of the Pacers. That might be the game I need to go represent.
Oh, really?
Talking about me coming to Indiana and spending some time with the team.
Hold on. No.
I'm not going to
let that happen. I'm not going to let that happen because I know you're going to sit courtside and it's going to get heated. And I don't want you that close. I got a family to feed. I can't have no footage of you jumping in an NBA fight from the courtside.
But here's what watching Jimmy Butler reminded me of. Biggie once said this: "Want that old thing back? Miss my studs. I'm going to have to bring them back out. I'm going to have to bring them out.
Yours are smaller than that.
No. Only people that had ones that were my size were like KG and another gentleman who's dealing with some personal issues publicly.
The Spurs
that does music
have been playing well recently. And they beat the Celtics. But all the attention is on this play. LaMarcus Aldridge sets a screen. Kemba Walker goes into the screen. No foul called. Kemba Walker's upset about that.
Yeah, he's upset.
So what's he do? He runs after the ref, and he might have said something really spicy because he got kicked out. Now, Jalen, I'm going to say something that no one said yet. I like the no call. I didn't think that was that hard of a screen.
Pig right.
I didn't really see much. LaMarcus Aldridge didn't really he didn't, put his arms into it. I didn't think it was a dirty play. And sometimes no calls are good calls.
This is a perfect example of what the game is now versus what it used to be. And I love Kemba Walker. No shots or shade at him. He doesn't dictate the overtone of how players play in the NBA. But I remember watching a guy named Isaiah Thomas of the Bad Boys be put in this same situation in a different era. And look how he handled it with Rick Mahorn, who eventually became a member of his team. And Horn, like, get this little gnat off of me. He didn't even look.
That's like
look
me and my
Horn.
son.
Right.
Yeah, he didn't even make eye contact.
Correct. And why do I bring that up? This is a line of demarcation when young people try to say, what do they mean about the game, how it was, and then? Here's the difference. Players nowadays, when a call doesn't go their way and some physical activity takes place,
They go.
Kemba never looked at Aldridge.
They go to the ref.
He looked at the ref. He didn't even look at the guy that put him on his backside. That's the difference.
Good no call from the ref there. I'm going to say it. Jalen Rose, who's joining us in studio right after this break?
David Allen Greer.
Make sure you stay tuned because David Allen Greer will be here.
He's going to be on Broadway, too.
Rose, who is joining us in the studio?
The very talented OG that just happened to be from Detroit and represent the University.
Yes,
of
that's
Michigan.
what we do,
Yeah,
man.
he got a cold brim on his head right now.
Yes.
David Allen Greer
Louis
is
the
in
Hatter.
house.
Yo,
Louis
we're
the Hatter.
happy to have you back.
Man, first of all, let me tell y'all something. I feel like I live with you guys. Every day when I get home from the theater, the last thing I listen to is your podcast.
Oh,
That's
man.
love.
That's
Thank
so
you.
much
Day,
love.
When you all went on vacation, I was like a crackhead. I'm like, what? Christmas, Kwanzaa now? Y'all gotta do something.
Boxing
Oh, my
Day.
God. Yeah.
Well, you mentioned the theater. You're in a new play called A Soldier's Play.
Yeah.
Tell us who you play, the role, and what excites you about it.
Well, everybody knows the movie Soldier Story.
Of course.
I was in the movie with Denzel Washington, the great,
Classic.
Adolph Caesar. This is actually my third time. I was in the original production. I played C.J. Memphis. I took over for Larry Riley after he left. That's where I met Denzel and Adolph Caesar. Then we did the movie. Now I'm doing the play, and I'm playing Adolph's role, the Sarge, 3 different times.
This sounds like free money. You don't got to learn any new lines.
Well,
You don't
I
have to
do.
any new stuff.
I didn't remember all the fights. You know, I was like, oh, this is a glamorous role. It's a lead. I'll take it. Then I was like, wait a minute, I'm getting my ass whooped again?
As somebody that's tried to be a thespian in different endeavors in my life, I understand that basically doing television or movies seems to be a writer's medium. But doing plays, in particular on Broadway,
Good point.
is an actor's
Yes,
medium.
because
So
we
can you
go
distinguish the
every day.
difference?
Well, I'll tell you why. It's funny. Kenny Leon, who's directing us, he just told the cast that because we're about to open. Now, Kenny's job is done. He goes away. We as actors, the company, have to reenact every night, every performance, all the stuff that we have been working on. And as you both well know, sometimes things can spread. Maybe a handshake gets a little deeper. Maybe I put a little dip in a line here and there. So we are the ones who really have to push forward and recreate this concept. On the movie, I can do 10 takes of you. You go home thinking, yeah, I really got that one take. We're not going to use that take. We're going to use my take, the one I like.
That's a great point.
I'm going to cut out and sculpt everything about your performance as a director or editor, and then I have it down the way I want. So that's what they mean. The director has a final say on the movie.
So, you know, Jalen Rose has an opinion that Zion Williamson shouldn't play all season long.
Oh, I have-
Now, I follow you
Yeah.
on all social media. You make sure you do. This man is hilarious in all mediums. But you tweeted this about the future of Zion. Let's take a look at it quickly. You apparently don't believe that this man should ever play again.
No.
You said, tell him what you think.
I think he should be encased in a glass case. Preserve him at his finest.
Yes.
He can move around, wave at people. Maybe you got a little hole. He can stick his hand out, shake people, shake people's hands and stuff. Just leave him there.
We'll get some sides of
Yeah,
food
leave
in
him there.
Yeah.
You're going to get your $100 million back. Charge, I don't know, I said $5. We're going to find a rate. $100 a pop.
Yeah.
Maybe you could wheel him in to somebody's birthday party.
Appearances. Oh,
Don't touch him. Don't leave. Don't. He don't have to sit down. Just
So
leave him like that.
obviously he hasn't played yet, but he will return this season. My question for you is: do you think that the cuisine of New Orleans is going to hurt his career?
Yes.
I'm concerned about.
I was there working on Queen Sugar, and I gained 52 pounds. Every night.
That's a real number?
No, I'm just
Oh my God, you look great.
Is the truth. I had 5 different apps. You know, I was getting frog legs, all kind of old stuff, and they'll come any hour. They're like drug dealers. What you want? Okay, I'll be there in about 20 minutes. You may have to wait a little longer because it's the South, but ooh, that food, you know the deal, man.
I had turtle soup there, and I didn't realize there was real turtles in there.
Yes,
I thought it was like a name, and I was like, oh wow, turtle soup.
Yes, I had it too, man. Beautiful. That is going to be a challenge, and I don't know, man. They just need to get him back on court, not in a irresponsible way.
Correct.
They don't have to be over delicate. Now, maybe you guys know something about his particular injury that requires longer rehab. Just get him out there, man. You know, if he's gonna bust, he's gonna bust. If he's gonna last, he's gonna last. Okay, you got to deal with it.
I agree. So I'm sitting here with 2 of the biggest Michigan football fans outside of Ann Arbor.
Absolutely.
No question.
I mean, 2 of the biggest Michigan football
Yes,
fans.
no doubt.
And both of you guys watch every snap of every single game.
doubt.
So
Yes.
my question for you, do you think this season was a success?
No,
No.
Oh. Explain, gentlemen.
We lost our bowl game. We lost to Ohio State.
there you go.
That's it?
First
9
of all,
wins?
I think last time I was here, I tried to tell you, man, he could have had the same season. Just beat Ohio State, man. That you don't have no idea how important that is.
That's important, Jacoby.
He could have
I
lost
don't, because it hasn't happened for so long.
I know
It's
that.
been like a decade. That's how I don't know it's important.
I feel like the problem with Michigan is recruiting. You know what I'm saying? That's like there's a bomb-ass party down the block when you like, hey, man, come to our little thing, man. We got cupcakes.
Right.
From the grocery store.
And all the church. Yeah, we got church deaconesses.
Come in the plastic thing.
Your auntie's there in the kitchen. You're like, nah, I'm going over to the other house. So I think maybe that may be a problem. I don't know, man, but I cannot not believe in Michigan. And I really don't like the atmosphere around this ESPN organization.
Breathe a second.
I ain't called
See,
no
Jalen's not
names.
allowed to say it. Jalen's not allowed to say
I
it.
don't want to call. I didn't come here to preach.
We talking about
But I've
Feinbaum?
heard.
We talking about
I've
Feinbaum?
heard. Yes, I heard. Now the Greenie too. All of them.
Oh, he's around
Face
here. We can
facts.
grab him.
Wow.
We can
Keep him
grab
away
him.
from me.
Get him.
I don't like him. You know, I'm a true believer, man. We got to get past this hump, and I don't know what it's gonna take, man. I was there when they beat Ohio State. I was there when Woody Hayes snatched a player and slapped him upside the head. You know, that's what they used to do, man. So I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. I don't know what the answer is, man. But for us, that's very important.
Jay, what do you think the fix is?
We need a quarterback
There you go.
that's going to eventually play on Sundays.
There you go.
If you look at Jim Harbaugh as a former player and what he did in San Francisco, he helped elevate them to play a style. Greg Roman, their offensive coordinator, helped cultivate Colin Kaepernick. You know what Roman is right now? With the Ravens, running that same offense with Lamar Jackson.
See, I want to go to his church.
So once we get a quarterback that he's confident in, I think that can end up playing on Sundays, Mondays, and Thursdays. That's going to be a game changer.
I am so glad you are here because sometimes there's a video that goes into the show that needs to be broken down in extreme detail.
Let's break it down.
Today's one of those days. Let's go to the table.
Let's break it down.
Because we're in the entertainment world, we all fly a lot, you know, got a lot of miles. And, you know, airplanes become habitual. They become a sanctuary. They become an important environment. We all have our routines. So I just want you all to put yourself in an airplane seat right now. And you look over to your left, and this is what you see. Just take me through what you're watching right here, David.
No.
Here's what I'm hoping. Here's what I'm hoping.
What do you hope they have
I'm
arms?
hoping exactly that this is a very attractive individual who lost their arms in I don't know a lawnmower accident or something, and they done rebuilt their life, and they just walk down the aisle with a ticket in between their toes. Because anything less than that, we got a problem. We have a problem.
I'm never touching a screen again.
No.
I'm never touching a screen again.
And I'm not one of these people. I can't be disinfecting the whole area.
No.
Right.
No.
I sat next to a very famous, beautiful model. She basically
Naomi Campbell. Yeah, I'll say the names.
she basically disinfected the entire area. I'm like, but as soon as you step 2 feet over, you're going to step on some
You
dude.
got to use the bathroom at some point.
Exactly. Exactly.
They're going to deliver you something in a glass. Can't disinfect that.
This is what turns me off. Keep your shoes on.
Oh, see, I take my shoes off. Socks on.
But
shoes
you
off.
in your seat. But you don't go down the aisle with the socks.
Yeah, I do.
No,
for sure.
No, that's cultural.
Oh, for
Cut
sure.
your feet
I
off.
do that.
Cut your feet off.
No. See. First of all, I always have clean socks. I change my socks in the
So
bathroom.
you going to the bathroom barefoot?
No. With socks on, and I inspect the floor to make sure that I dodge the mines.
Let me ask you something. I know you've been getting a lot of hate about your hygiene.
Yeah, I showered this morning.
Oh, you did? Thank you.
Yeah, but I played basketball last night. Slept in the bed without funky.
That's because he knew you was
Let
going
me
to
ask you
be here.
something,
Yeah, I
though.
showered
But
this morning.
see, in your defense, a lot of folks don't know what you're doing. I think I know what your science is.
Oh, what's that?
No shower, you letting them pheromones kick. You going
Yes,
straight
yes.
caveman.
That's what
So
happened
when your
I
woman
walked down
comes
the block.
home, you like,
Oh.
all of me. You letting her see the caveman.
No,
in
but
you.
sometimes it's a problem because when I get in the subway,
Yes.
just women will just follow me up the
See?
stairs
See
because
what I'm
the
saying?
pheromones are so strong.
There you go.
And so that's why I've been showering
go.
just to
It's
keep
some
the hordes of people away from me.
It's some science
Thank
to
you.
this
See, you
madness.
understand me. You understand me.
Long as you and your
That is
woman,
why
long as it's good in the household.
That's why you can come back anytime. You say you feel like you're home here.
Yes.
You are.
But
this
one other
is your
thing.
home.
Can
Anything you need.
Okay, your children are watching.
Huh?
Your children are watching you. So in other words, you're teaching them a lesson. Now, if you're good with that, you're good with that.
I'm lazy, so we only bathe them like once every 2 days. Depending on their day. You know what I mean? It takes like an hour. It's already late. I'm trying to get them to bed.
No.
There's science to that too.
Not my household.
That's cultural.
I was about to
The
say.
one thing we have in our households is we might be broke, but you gonna be clean.
My mother.
I don't care if you got a bowl of water to wash up. We did that.
My mother was a depression baby. She said, when you start smelling yourself, we've been smelling you. Okay? Don't use your own nose as a barometer.
David
Wash your
Greer,
behind.
you can check him in A Soldier's Play anytime.
We need to take our significant others,
You have to.
go
I'll
to
take it.
Broadway,
I'll take
and
it.
represent.
I would love to. Thank you so much. You're
Come
welcome to come
visit.
back anytime
Also, one
whatsoever.
last thing.
Go.
I need more Jalen and Jacoby swag, baby.
Oh, we got
Done,
you. Oh, we got
done,
you. We got
and
you.
done.
Oh, we'll get you something. We'll get you something for sure. Last night, Trae Young and James Harden did something that was never done in the history of the NBA.
Forever, ever?
We'll show you that right after this. Welcome back to Jalen and Jacoby. I want to thank David Allen Greer for coming through, and I want to tell you something happened in the NBA that has never, ever, ever happened before. 2 40-point triple-doubles. And James Harden with a 40-point triple-double is an amazing accomplishment. But you wanted to talk about this back and forth.
I did want to talk about this fashion. They look like they're both in 2 different states. Trae Young's wearing shorts like it's 95 degrees, and James Harden's wearing a coat like it's 45 degrees.
Sometimes you just commit to the shorts and you just stay with it. But the back and forth didn't end in the tunnel. It went onto the court, and I just never seen anything like this. And for me, the takeaway is this: is James Harden is not headline news when you get a 40-point triple-double. But Trae Young's in his 2nd year in the NBA. And this young man is going toe-to-toe with the MVP.
So let me show you guys how this works behind the curtain.
Oh, okay, please do.
So you trade, in theory, Trae Young for Luka Doncic, and you get the pick.
Yep.
DeAndre, the 4th pick they took from Virginia. What's the kid's
Hunter.
name? DeAndre Hunter. So now all of a sudden, you evaluate their numbers. This is why you can't evaluate players off the statistics. If I wrote both of their numbers on a piece of paper, they're pretty
Oh,
similar.
yeah, they're close.
They're pretty similar.
Close.
But the difference is one player is not only in the West, but he's 1 or 2 games out of the 2 seed, depending on what day it is.
There's 17 teams, 1 or 2 games.
The other player is flirting with one of the worst records in the conference. So as management, now you go back to the drawing board and you have to ask yourself, what's the difference? And if I'm asking you just blank stare, and KP hasn't been playing, whose roster do you think is better between the Mavs and the Hawks?
I mean, I know the answer because I'm watching the games, but if you just did paper, I would probably say the Hawks. But I know the Mavs are a better team in my heart.
But either way, it wouldn't be far off.
No.
So that's the soul searching that Atlanta's gonna have to do this offseason.
They got some soul searching to do because they have the worst win-loss record in the National Basketball Association. And I wouldn't be surprised if they made some moves before the trade deadline. So, Jalen, there's a rumor.
They're trying to get Andre Drummond.
There's a rumor.
We need him in Detroit.
There's a rumor that's
Shout.
bigger than an Andre Drummond trade. Comes from Marcus Thompson of The Athletic. Do you know what he said? He said that the Warriors and the Sixers might have had some discussions about D'Angelo Russell for Ben Simmons. Jalen Rose, what do you think about this potential deal? Does
This
it make
definitely
sense?
makes sense. Oh, it makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense.
This makes sense to you?
It makes a lot of sense.
You
You know the one thing about being a former player and doing this job for as long as I have, sometimes you say controversial things that people take personal. And I remember being a person saying, I love Ben Simmons. I love Joel Embiid, but I don't think they can maximize their potential together. They're both so very talented that you got to build a team around Joel Embiid that people can make shots and create opportunities for him and not clog the paint. For Ben Simmons, you have to create a squad around him where he can basically be a power guard, where there's shooters around him and a big that can catch lobs like Capella or DeAndre Jordan. Since they're on the same team, it clogs the paint and distorts the spacing.
If
it
I'm
really
the
does.
76ers, I'm not giving up Ben Simmons for D'Angelo Russell. I just feel like Ben Simmons is not only the better player now, but has more potential to be better 2-3 years down the road. I'm not making that trade.
I'm not saying you trade those two guys apples to apples, because I agree with your comment. But that's why you toss other players into the deal, third teams into the deal, salaries, picks. It'll be interesting to see how and or if this plays out.
Yeah, and again, I just want to emphasize that this is just a rumor. You know what I mean? This is something that there's going to be a lot of these coming up in the next month or so. But this one I found really interesting, especially because it involved a couple superstars, all-stars. Jalen, I can't wait to talk to you about this one. Because when I saw this, I said, me and Jalen are about to argue in the studio. Former Michigan head coach, current Cavs head coach, John Beilein, was in a film session when he criticized his players because they were no longer playing like a bunch of thugs. So, of course, the report gets out, and he walks it back. And here's what he had to say when he addressed it to the public. He said, quote, I didn't realize I had said the word thugs, but my staff told me later I did, so I must have said it. I meant to say slugs, as in slow moving. We weren't playing hard before, and now we're playing harder. Then he moves on. I meant it as a compliment. That's what I was trying to say. I've already talked to 8 of my players tonight, and they're telling me that they understand. Meant to say slugs, Jalen Rose. Meant to say slugs, Jalen Rose.
So a couple of things. As you know, I'm fond of John Beilein. I'm very grateful for what he did to the University of Michigan.
I know.
I'm fortunate that he allowed me to come spend time and talk to the team on multiple occasions, tickets to the game, all of that. But this is a perfect example of why an older white gentleman, basically in a sport that's 75% black, sometimes college coaches get criticized if they have what it takes to coach professionals. This is a perfect example. Let me tell you why. In his statement, he said he did not know what he said. That's the actual problem. Number 2, that he talked to 8 of his players, not 15 of them. That's his other problem. Also, what has been disseminating from Cleveland all season? Basically, players wanting him out, saying he can't relate, clapping back at him. Tristan Thompson yelling at him in the game. Kevin Love defiant when he got a small guy on him. When he's called out to come set a pick. These are all basketball circumstances that have nothing to do with these comments. Now, as somebody that's been called a thug by the media, it's actually one of the reasons why I wanted to get into this industry, the name calling. It makes me want to give mainstream America the definition of thug, because what has happened is Tupac Shakur was such a superstar, and he glorified the term.
He popularized the term.
it's almost like rap music. It kind of got away from what it really means.
Yes.
So now you have a generation of people using that term, or a lot of people from suburban environments using that term, but don't really know the impetus of it. If I'm a coach and I tell my team that they're playing like thugs, that don't mean that they're tough.
Or they need to play like thugs.
That means they're out there trying to hurt somebody.
Yes.
A thug is a criminal. That's a street lifestyle. A slug is somebody that is slow and or lazy. Two way different things that both, by the way, you ready for this? Could fit in that sentence that he said.
That's another thing I want to say. It's not what you do. It's not what you say. It's how you say
Correct.
it. It's the context. It's the vibe. It's the relationship you have with the people that you say it to. So I think there's a lot of other variables in the equation than just the fact that he used the word thug. I think that them losing and that the team kind of having a little bit of a working relationship with him played into this. But I have to ask you this question. Sometimes the cover-up is worse than the crime. Do you honestly, seriously, honestly believe that he meant to say the word slugs and he said thugs? Or is that just a convenient little cover-up after it blew up in his face?
I got to say the cover-up is worse than a crime because I've sat in a lot of locker rooms. I've played a lot of basketball. I've been around a lot of coaches. I've never heard that term used. And also, I'm pretty sure he's never used that term with the team. That's what makes it unique. Say that's something that he says all of the time and then had a slip of the tongue. It's something that can be forgiven. But it sounds like this is a term he used for the first time, didn't realize he said it, had to be told by the GM that he says it. That creates the issue, which is unfortunate for him because I'm pretty sure right now, he's like, why did I leave college for the pros?
Yeah, I didn't have these problems in college.
Why did I leave college for the pros?
You made a great point. He got 7 more phone calls to make. He got to get in the phone.
Correct.
When we come back, we know exactly when Victor Oladipo will be joining the Pacers. We'll tell you when that is right after this. Jalen, it is time for me and you to keep it moving. In this segment, you decide whether or not you want to discuss the topic. If you want to discuss it, you say hit the brakes. If not, me, you, and Method Man jump in the minivan and keep it moving. Are you ready, Mr. Rose?
To Cal.
We've learned that Adam Thielen hurt his ankle in practice and it required stitches, but it doesn't seem serious. Keep moving or hit the brakes.
Required stitches sounds like a cut more than a sprain. He'll be out there for the playoff game. Keep it moving.
Keep it moving.
We keep it moving. We keep it moving.
Mike McCarthy admitted to doing something that basically all of us do.
Hit the
Keep moving or
brakes.
hit the brakes. He admitted that he lied to Jerry Jones during the interview when he said that he's watched every play of the Cowboys this season. Big deal or kind of funny?
It's really funny. And like I told you on this program, he would be the choice. I also used the term check all the boxes. Jerry Jones came out and said he checks all of the boxes.
Great point, Jalen Rose. I forgot that you said that, and you were absolutely right. Next, I have great news for the Indiana Pacers.
Oh, hit the brakes.
Victor Oladipo is coming back. Looking at January 29 against the Bulls. How long do you think it'll be before he's kind of back to the Victor Oladipo that we've seen previously?
Well, it's a quad injury, so hopefully by playoff time.
Ooh, that's a long runway.
Victor Oladipo is all NBA player. It's gonna take some
That's a
time.
good point.
It ain't like me coming back.
Great
You know
point.
what I'm saying? Go
Great
out there
point.
trying to get 10. Like he out there was going
Great point.
30 on cats.
I have a story that involves the Waffle House. Keep it moving or hit the brakes.
Please hit the brakes.
Jalen, I want you to take a look at something that's going viral on Twitter. Because everybody has a fantasy football team, right? Here's what Cyrus said. He said, for my fantasy football punishment, I will be attempting the Waffle House Challenge. I must stay in a Waffle House for 24 hours. Every waffle I eat, an hour is subtracted from my sentence. Please join me on this journey. I like this because you don't have to eat 24 or you fail, but you have to stay there. How many waffles do you think you could eat if you did the Waffle House Challenge?
In 24 hours?
No, if you eat one, then you only have 23 hours left. If you eat two, you only have 22 hours left, so on and so forth.
But otherwise, you got to be there.
Otherwise, you have to be there.
So in theory, if I was there 12 hours, that means because I ate 12 waffles?
Yes.
Oh, I'll just make sure I'm starving that day. I'll probably be there 4 hours.
4 hours?
Yeah, I ain't.
You're gonna, dog. What? You're gonna put down 20 waffles in 4 hours?
Yes.
Jalen, sometimes you don't understand how the world works. Sometimes you don't understand how the world works. You can eat 20 waffles in 4 hours.
Let me tell you something, sir.
You just say
let
things
me,
sometimes.
let me tell you something. You want me to take off my pants and show you I have a Waffle House tattoo on my butt?
No, I don't want to see
You
that.
want me to show you?
Oh, yeah.
You want me to show you?
Show the world.
You want me to show you?
Show the world.
Let me tell I eat Waffle House. Scattered, smothered, and covered. Okay? I eat Waffle House. Let me tell you something.
Here's a big question. Have you ever eaten Waffle House sober?
No, it's not as good.
Yeah, it's not what happens. All right.
I take that back. Yes.
Okay, in the morning?
I've been in a Waffle House playing cards with my daughters.
Oh, there you go. What were you guys playing?
Family
What were you
experience. I think we were teaching them how to play spades.
Oh, good.
Or Uno. We was playing Uno.
Oh, I love Uno. I've got a great Ed Orgeron story. Keep moving.
Hit the brakes. National
So
championship.
apparently, Greedy Williams told that he goes around shirtless and he shotguns Red Bulls to get the team fired up. Jalen Rose, would you ever shotgun a Red Bull?
No.
Well, you know what? That's why there's two of us here. Do you know how to shotgun something? Have you ever shotgun something?
Drink it nonstop?
Oh, no.
No.
Oh, no. Oh, no. Here's how you shotgun a Red Bull.
Oh, no.
You ready?
Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, wow. Wow. Yes. Yes. Oh.
Go Tigers! Go Tigers! Go Tigers!
Hey, man, they need to drug test you.
I'll pass.
They need to drug test
I'll
you.
pass.
What is wrong with you?
When we come back, we're going to talk about Kevin Durant
What happened to this
going
program?
back and forth on Twitter once again.
What just happened?
And Instagram. Make sure you do that and subscribe to the podcast. Welcome back to Jalen and Jacoby. I'm fired up.
So I just got to ask a question.
What's that?
This is really
What's that?
important to
What's
me.
that? What's that?
What just happened?
Shotgunned a Red Bull. Ed Orgeron does this to fire up the team. I'm trying to bring some life to this program.
So here's the thing. You pulled out a key.
Yep.
First off, I didn't know what you were doing with the key.
Yep. You poke a hole in the bottom of the can. Usually it's a beer. And then you open up the top and drink it, and it automatically just pours.
See, I didn't see you open up the top. I didn't know why you were pulling out keys. That's clearly something cultural. The other thing, you drank it nonstop.
Yeah, you can't. You have no choice. That's what that's the shotgun part of it.
It's too much. Isn't it a lot more acid in like a Red Bull than a beer?
I don't know the acidity levels of those two different beverages, but I know they're both delicious.
And the other thing, this is really important to me.
What's that?
What's up with the throwing the can part afterwards? Is that like a wrestling move or
you're
something?
like fired up. You just want like, show everybody you're done with it.
Oh, yeah. Next time you got to just take off your shirt afterwards.
Next time I'm going to hit you. That's what Ed Orgeron does. He does them shirtless. I haven't been working out that much lately, so I didn't do it. It is now time for Socially Awkward.
That was awkward.
So, a Nets supporter or somebody was commentating about the Nets on Twitter, and they said, look, they win 7 games, no one cares. They lose 7 games, no one cares. It's basically saying that the Nets weren't necessarily relevant. Kevin Durant saw this tweet, and we can't even show you how much he went back and forth with this person on Twitter, because they were going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And when I used to disrespect Kevin Durant for doing this, I've gone full circle. I support him. Why not? He's just having a conversation with somebody. It's just like you argue with a stranger at a bar. He's just doing it for everybody to see. I love this behavior from Kevin Durant. What do you think?
So I have a few thoughts about it. Kevin Durant, one of the most talented basketball players to ever do it.
All time.
And you know, one of the things I actually love about him is that he does the game for a living, not necessarily what the game can do for him. He's a guy that'll go play rec ball. He'll go play at the Rucker. Like, he just lives and breathes the game, and I love that about him. Probably the greatest pure scorer the game has seen. But in covering his career, you get to know certain traits about players.
Yep.
And one of the things that I noticed is usually the people that clap back at others are those that A, invite the trolling because, again, they want to reply, and or B, those that reply, but sometimes they get emotional behind the response. And so for KD in his past, we all have the ability to grow. I'm not judging him over yesterday, but there was a point in his career where he needed a burner account to actually express what he felt, and it happened to be about his former team, his former coach, and Russell Westbrook. And so when people realized that it was a burner account, it showed me that maybe he's not the person emotionally that should be consuming that negativity because it's not fueling you, it's probably upsetting you or hurting you. And so only he can do the dance of being able to juggle the line between the two. But if it's not bothering him and it's not emotional to him, then have at it.
He's just joking and playing.
He's allowed to defend himself.
I don't think he's really bothered by this. I think he's just joking and playing, and he's just like spending some time while he poops.
But a couple of things have. That's nasty. People use the phone on the bathroom.
Everybody does it.
All right.
Every single person does it.
But here's the thing. 2 months ago, we were talking about the ascension of the Nets. This turbulence, emotionally for public consumption, is what people wondered if KD and Kyrie would be able to handle if they came to New York City. That was the question, right?
And you know when we're going to find out? 2021.
Yes.
That's what we're going to find out.
We're not going to find out
this year.
They're terrific basketball players.
To me.
They'll be in the Eastern Conference Finals yesterday. We'll be in the locker room trying to interview them. And then KD be like, I don't want to talk to you because last year you said this about me. Now y'all want to come to the game. Well, we're going to come to the game anyway because we're fans and support.
I'm glad you
But I want to see what happens.
I'm glad you brought up Westbrook because Westbrook, he's no longer on the Oklahoma City Thunder with Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant left, and now Westbrook's gone, and they return to Oklahoma City tonight. Now, Westbrook famously signed extensions with the team, committed to Oklahoma City. And when he returns, do you think he will be celebrated, or do you think he will be booed?
Celebrated, standing ovation.
Yes.
He will eventually, obviously, get his number retired.
Don't say it.
They got to consider it.
No, don't say it.
They got to consider a Russell statue.
Don't say it.
He averaged triple doubles, man. He did something for that organization, and it's
you know what? Not you mentioned MVP. It wasn't his
Talk
fault.
to your boy. And to partly slight and take shade at KD, they would do that.
Oh, yeah, they would do that.
You got to think about the tea leaves. So Russell deserves.
He's going to be scowling in the statue, too. Oh, lip curled up to here.
And OKC's been playing well, so I'm happy that he got a chance to rest against the Hawks, and he'll be fully ready to go.
I want to thank David Allen Greer for coming through. He's the best. You can catch him in A Soldier's Play. You can catch us tomorrow here, ESPN 2 at 2.
Let's go to Barclays and the Garden.